The family leave bill is inching its way to President Clinton's pen after being turned down twice by the previous administration. The measure is expected to become law soon. Details upcoming on Nightcast.
KFDA-TV 10, Amarillo. Live from the Four-State News Authority. Walt Howard. Kerry King. Meteorologist Dave Oliver. John Holcomb Sports. This is KFDA News Nightcast.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. The Democratic-controlled Senate is siding with President Clinton's efforts to lift the ban on gays in the military.
Senators voted 62 to 37 tonight against a Republican measure that would have restored the ban on gays as it existed before Clinton ordered changes last week. Kent Gerald has more on the President and First Lady's Day in Washington.
The Senate took a break from debating the family leave bill as Republicans moved to a vote to make the ban on gays in the military the law of the land. Democrats believe they will defeat that move, but Republicans were able to criticize the president.
While candidate Clinton did vow to be a different kind of Democrat, President Clinton is rapidly establishing himself as a traditional anti-defense liberal.
Every single member of the Joint Chiefs, to the best of my knowledge, as reflected by General Powell's clear statement, supports the statement that President Clinton made last Friday, which was the compromise.
President Clinton traveled to the Capitol, his second trip this week. He is cementing bonds with Democratic House leaders. The theme, break the gridlock.
Got a good group up there. We're going to work together and get some things done.
2 hours after the president left the Hill, First Lady Hillary Clinton showed up to meet with Democrats to talk about her task force on health care reform.
On behalf of the President, I am looking forward to working with them to come up with a piece of legislation that will respond to the very real needs that Americans have to make sure they're secure in the health care that is given to them and that the quality and choice available to them is what they expect.
Congress is heading for a reset. Democrats want to head out of town with the satisfaction of knowing they have sent family leave legislation to the president for his signature. Ken Sherrill for CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The Senate approved its version of the family leave bill late tonight with a vote of 71 to 27. The House gave the thumbs up to its version last night. Coming up with a compromise between the two plans is expected to go smoothly. The final draft could end up on the president's desk as early as tomorrow.
The controversy surrounding Dr. Ralph Erdman is surfacing again, this time in federal court. Today, Federal District Judge Mary Lou Robinson met with criminal district attorneys Randy Sherrod and Lubbock's Travis Ware. She summoned the two to discuss a lawsuit filed earlier this week alleging the DAs conspired to cover up alleged illegal acts performed by the former pathologist. Robinson issued a restraining order in connection with the case, so details of the case are not being released. Meanwhile, a grand jury will hear another case against Erdman tomorrow. The district judge ordered the Lubbock grand jury be convened. The judge says police requested the hearing, and details of what will be presented to the grand jury are not being released at this time.
The murder trial of a Tucumcari man ended in mistrial. State District Judge Ricky Purcell declared the mistrial in the Alfred Baca case. The prosecutor in the case, Randall Harris, tells KFDA News the judge made the ruling because a juror improperly talked with a defense witness early yesterday. Baca is accused of shooting his wife in May of 1991. Harris says Baca will have to be retried within 6 months.
Amarillo police are investigating a rash of burglaries at local self-service storage units. As KFDA's Derek Laddick discovered, a little prevention now can save you a lot of heartache.
Over the past several months, Amarillo police say more than 100 units like these have been burglarized. Just last week, thieves struck at one such storage business, stealing items from 43 different garages.
You have those people coming and going all hours. Most folks would go by in the daytime, but even during the nighttime hours, you'd have people coming by. And, you know, unless it looks suspicious to the officer, he's not going to stop and check with them on it.
Mike Thomas has had 2 break-ins at his place in the past 5 years and credits that record to extra tight security.
We keep it well lighted, and we try to watch it, you know, keep the gate closed, and patrol it every now and then.
He has a few simple tips that could keep your items safe. First, make sure the storage area is well lit and patrolled regularly. Secondly, buy a padlock with a heavy shank.
I'd recommend you take the numbers off the bottom of the locks, get good locks with good hardened steel shanks.
When arranging your things, put the most valuable stuff to the rear.
Kind of cover them up with other things you don't really mind losing. That way, if somebody comes and hits your unit, you know, they look inside, but there might not be anything they want.
And lastly, check your storage unit often. Mike says so far this advice has worked for him, and it could keep would-be burglars out of your storage unit. Derek Laddick, KFDA News, Nightcast.
Well, the next time you see those flashing red lights in your rear-view mirror and a police officer pulls you off the side of the roadway, show him your best smile because chances are you're on camera. Today, the Amarillo Alliance Against Drunk Driving, the Century Council, and a local insurance agency presented the Amarillo Police Department with 12 camcorders. The cost of the high-tech equipment is about $51,000. The officer can manually switch the camera on, or it will automatically start when the car's flashers are activated. Authorities say the video can be used in court, and officials say it will help prosecute drunk drivers. Similar devices are used in South Texas, and in the past 5 years, officials say 97.4% of the DWI cases there end in conviction.
Coming up, our weather forecast looks promising into the weekend.
Dave says we can look forward to sunny skies tomorrow. Stay with us for his complete outlook next on Nightcast.
KFDA Chief Meteorologist Doppler Dave Oliver holds the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
Well, Old Man Winter is back for this part of the area, and part of the area has proof, white stuff.
That's right. If I'm lying, I'm dying. It is snowing in parts of the Panhandle. A lot of people thought I was losing my marbles today because it wasn't snowing heavily. I went down to jury duty this morning, and the ladies were kind of hounding me about the snow there, but it is snowing right now. In fact, I got a call not too long ago from a lady that lives south of Hereford near Easter, has an inch or so on the ground already. So I don't think we'll all see that. And I never said we'd get a lot of snow, but there are flakes flying here and there across the Panhandle. Take a look at the current conditions. In fact, right here in Amarillo, we have some flurries going on at the KFDA studios. Pressure 30.38 and steady. Our humidity 75%. We're at 35, and winds are light out of the north at only 3 miles per hour. Well, with the few flurries we've had around the area, nothing measurable, just a trace of precipitation so far. We're at 0.77 for the year, above the normal of 0.56. And our low temperature this morning back down into the 20s. We started off with a thick frost this morning. We took it down to 24 degrees, and not as warm this afternoon as we've been lately. We made it up to 52, so got above freezing and everything, but not quite as warm as we should be. In early February, the normal is 50. Record high 81, that was back in 1925, and the record low back down below zero, -5. That was back in 1989. Well, our temperatures have been dropping off a little each day. You might remember we started off the week with temperatures up around 60. Yesterday, most of us were around 50 degrees, and today we kind of cut it back down to 40 with some 30s in there also. Clayton, the cool spot, at 37. Also had 39 at Perryton and also up at Liberal and Boise City. Southern half of the area mainly in the 40s with 150 coming in. Memphis, the warm spot today, at 50 degrees. So even though temperatures cooled off a little bit, at least we haven't had a lot of snow to contend with. And that was not the case at about this time back in 1956. We had an incredible snowstorm going on across the Panhandle. Check this one out. In the 24-hour period from February 3rd to 4th in 1956, Plainview picked up 24 inches in 24 hours. That's 2 feet of snow in a day's time. That just happens to be the state record, the Texas record for a 24-hour snowfall. And we had other records tumble off at the same time, and we'll check some of those for you tomorrow night. But that is an amazing snowstorm with 1 inch an hour for a whole day straight. We have had some significant snows just west of the area today, not really in the KFDA viewing area, but if you get out here in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains of New Mexico, some of the higher peaks, 1 foot of snow. Taos, Red River, and Angel Fire came in with about 1/2 foot, and even down towards Las Vegas, 3 inches. And early this afternoon had some trace amounts from about Tucumcari and San Juan northward up to about Narravisa, but not much going on for the Panhandle. But tonight, light snow is breaking out across the area. One of the reasons we had the heavier snows out in the mountains, they had a little help today, what we call an upslope snow, east winds. It's kind of right up the slopes, and as that air is lifted, that's when the moisture condenses out, and had some good snows going on in the mountains. But since we were further off to the east, we didn't have that upslope and not a lot of energy to generate the snows. But here tonight, we'll take a look at the satellite loop. We still have our circulation, still have the upper level low. It was kind of falling apart earlier today. Not a lot of energy left, but it's now kind of reforming back here over western Oklahoma. That's where most of the moisture is. We still have lots of rain. We might even see some more snow for northern Oklahoma. But here locally, you see the clouds just kind of fizzle out. But tonight, believe it or not, these splotches you see right in here, a little bit of cloudiness. We do have snow falling at this time, and we'll animate the radar, see exactly where that is. And all the green you see here, this little band, is light snow. Now from about Amarillo down to Clovis, this is all heading eastward slowly. So other than some light snow amounts, I think that's going to be about it for tonight. And this will be confined mainly to about the southern half of the area. Might dust the ground just a little bit, but I think that's going to be about it. And with temperatures this warm and a wet snow, I think roads should stay in pretty good shape. Look at Oklahoma. They are getting pounded again tonight with some heavy rains, and this gives me an excuse to go to NexRad again. This is the first NexRad commissioned in the United States out here at Norman, Oklahoma. And you see a big band of rain and thunderstorms for the central part of the state. And my folks live about right there. And I talked to good old Dad tonight. He said it was raining for the last 2 or 3 hours straight. He's got 7 or 8 goats that live out there by his house. And he said the water was already just above their hoofs. So they have kind of a little flash flood going on the farm there. But he loves it. He's like I am. He likes that the wild weather. That's probably where I got this. But anyway, we'll take a look at the big picture. And here's our storm right in here, tracking off to the east. The clouds moving into California is the next system, and as that moves in, it's going to kind of bump this one out of the way. So I think after tonight, the clouds move on out to the east. We should start to clear out, see the clear skies for most of the western part of the country, but that may not be lasting much longer. We have some changes down the road. We'll take a look at this, and the next cold air mass coming out of Canada going to be dropping southward. It's going to move mainly off to the east, but Saturday, I think some of the cool air will kind of back in here for a little while. So Saturday afternoon, we'll kind of pick up a northeast wind. Temperatures drop off a little bit, but then look up here. Here's the big one. Big Arctic surge. That's going to crash southward, and by Tuesday, looks like we're back to cold. Temperatures probably staying in the 20s by Tuesday, and about that time, more moisture moves in. This may be the next snowstorm along about Tuesday, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. So here's the current situation. High pressure for most of the country, except for all the moisture in our little upper level storm. Here comes the cold front we were looking at tomorrow. That moves mainly down to the southeast, won't be here yet. And with some sunshine tomorrow, temperatures on the way up. Not bad at all for Friday afternoon. We'll take it up to about 50 degrees. So Friday looks pretty good. Here's the forecast now for tonight. A few light flurries, especially in the southern part of the area. Otherwise, decreasing cloudiness will drop on down to 25. And then for tomorrow, sunny skies, warming up. Look for high near 50 in Amarillo. And the 5-day forecast will drop temperatures a couple of degrees on Saturday with the next cool front 48. Sunday looks good. And then we look ahead to Tuesday with a chance of snow and temperatures only in the 20s. By the way, I was not selected for a jury this morning, but I did talk to the judge about that traffic ticket you wanted me to check on. And,
no, wait a minute, Dave. Hey,
you need to slow down in these school zones. What was that, 50 miles an hour in the school
Don't get me in any more trouble.
Okay, well, I tried anyway.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Still ahead on Nightcast, some local high school students were put to the test today, but no number 2 pencil was required. We will show you why.
And some people watch their waistline. That's common, but for others, mealtime becomes an obsession. We'll have details in medical journals. Stay with us.
Canyon City leaders met tonight and discussed supporting the City of Garland's proposal, supporting capital punishment for persons who abuse and murder children. Canyon City Manager Glenn Metcalf says a copy of the resolution approved by commissioners tonight will be sent to Garland, along with resolutions of support from other Texas cities. Garland officials plan to send copies of support along with the actual capital punishment proposal to Austin for lawmakers to consider this legislative session.
Well, diet is a 4-letter word almost all of us have used one time in life, or maybe even several times. The problem for the majority is stopping this cycle of yo-yo dieting because it is harmful to our health. But there is a group who's preoccupied with food, and it becomes their worst enemy. In this edition of Amarillo's Texas Tech Medical Journal, we examine eating disorders. These people taking the Texas Tech Trimline course are trying to shed a few pounds while changing their lifestyle and eating habits. But for many people, food can become a severe or even deadly obsession. In other words, an eating disorder can develop when a person becomes absorbed with food and the way they think they look. Anorexia and bulimia are the 2 common eating disorders. Anorexics often refuse to eat or eat small portions over long periods of time. Bulimics, on the other hand, use the binge and purge method of dealing with meals.
Depending upon how long it goes on, how many different of the problems that they have with it. So it can be anything from very puzzling and uncertain as to whether they have an eating disorder to very clearly obvious that they need rapid intervention.
Eating disorders can begin at any age in life, both in women and men. But the illness primarily strikes adolescent girls. Physicians have now broken down the target at-risk group even further.
Thin, slim, quick body where there's a need or a believed need to be extremely physically attractive. And I'm talking about things like modeling, ballet dancing, drama and theater, some of the sports like long-distance runners, and for males, the wrestling would be another example.
People who quit smoking or even stop drinking alcohol don't have to subject themselves to the substance. But for the anorexic or bulimic, that's not an option. You have to eat to live. Bizarre eating habits are the best warning signs for friends and relatives to watch out for. Texas Tech has a support group for those with a disorder or those who know someone who has the illness. For more information, call 354-5411.
High school students are used to taking tests, but not like the one given today at Tascosa High School. As KFDA's Matt Worster reports, that is why the school's junior ROTC program continues to rank as one of the nation's top junior naval units.
Tascosa's 105 cadets continue to rank in the upper echelons of the Navy's junior ROTC program.
Middle ribbon bottom row is backwards. The physical fitness ribbon goes the other way with the blue to the inside.
Here they're being judged on personal bearing and attire, marching and drill team performance.
8.
A lot of practice has gone into making these drills look so easy. But all this coordination comes not just from the practice, but from the discipline and confidence that comes with being part of the team.
Of course, the mission and the goal of the junior ROTC program is to instill leadership and pride and professional conduct among the kids, and it's kind of contagious. They get to be a family of kids who draw together and all work towards a one goal, and that is to be the best.
I think that self-discipline is something that maybe is lacking in a lot of people today, that we're trying to teach kids to take responsibility for their actions, to think about what they're going to do, to make the right kind of choices in life, whether they're going to go on to college or into the military or just out in society to get a job. Learning those kind of values are going to stand them in good stead no matter what they're doing.
While the U.S. military continues to be downsized, the ranks of the junior ROTC are on the increase and expected to double in the next 3 years. This large influx is expected to be from the inner cities of large urban areas to give these students the same opportunities Tascosa's cadets have enjoyed since 1969. Matt Worster, KFDA News Nightcast.
Well, coming up in sports, the Boston Celtics retire Larry Legend's jersey.
And in high school action, Tascosa prepares for Amarillo High as they try to take back sole possession of first place. John Holcomb is next on Nightcast. Where does the time go? It doesn't seem that long ago. Larry Bird was in the Missouri Valley with Indiana State playing against West Texas State University.
And that's where everybody really first got to know him, when he played in that NCAA final against Michigan State and Magic Johnson, and the two have stayed together ever since, and now they're both gone in the same year, too. Tonight, the Boston Celtics didn't play. Instead, they celebrated the retiring of number 33, Larry Bird's number, to the rafters in Boston Garden. The packed house saw a Bird highlight film and a laser light show before getting down to the real business of the evening. NBA Commissioner David Stern and even rival Magic Johnson were on hand to share Bird's special night.
You know, the thing about it that I love about you is that, see, most guys talk trash and talk stuff and can't bag it up. But Mr. Bird, you know you can bag your trash talking up.
The Spurs played host to Indiana tonight. That's Terry Cummings coming off a knee surgery out in the shoot-around. San Antonio looking to break their first-place tie with Utah in the Midwest Division. Sean Elliott led the way for the Spurs tonight. He had 22 points. Antoine Carr took it to the hole on Rick Smits, who really can't move, and gets the dunk there. Reggie Miller, the only bright spot, as usual, for Indiana with the 3 outside there. But J.R. Reed, watch this off the break. He'll get the give and go back from Elliott for the big jam. And San Antonio wins it as we go to the scoreboard by 18, 133 to 115. Their 13th win in 14 games. They are now 18-3 under new coach John Lucas. New York beat Golden State tonight behind John Stark's 30 points. They win by 4 over the Warriors. New Jersey helps Seattle to their 5th loss in 6 games after they've been playing so well lately, but they lose on the road in overtime by 10 at the Meadowlands. Clippers have a 2-point lead on the Bulls early in the second quarter, and Utah trails the Lakers at the Forum by 7. That's also in the second. Every year there seems to be one Cinderella team that makes it to the Final Four. Now it's become fashionable to start predicting which unlikely bunch will turn the trick. One of the favorites in that category this season is Wake Forest. Tonight the Demon Deacons at North Carolina State down in Raleigh. On the break, Harrison hits the bank shot, and the Deacons are off and rolling, and Coach Bob Stack there. State tried to keep it close in the first half. Kevin Thompson with a nice hook shot off the board inside. But then in the second half, watch this by Rodney Rogers. 360 jam. Wake Forest slams the Wolfpack 65-53. They win by 12 in ACC play. Arizona is up on Stanford by 29 points in the second half at the McHale Center. Iowa had this game in the bag after they tipped in a shot with 1 second to go, but then Andy Kaufman hit a 3-pointer off a long inbounds pass at the buzzer, and Illinois knocks off Iowa by 1 in Big Ten play, 78-77. UNLV with an early 2-point lead on the Pacific University Tigers in the first half. Tulane beats Virginia Tech by 13 in Metro Conference play. Utah leads Wyoming by 20 in the second half. Clemson pulls off an upset, a mild one of the Yellow Jackets down in Atlanta, 83-80 tonight in ACC play. And Virginia gets by Maryland. Tough team at home. Just ask Oklahoma, 70-68. The Cavaliers get the win. The District 3 5A picture could clear up a lot after tomorrow night. Tascosa and Palo Duro are just 2 of the teams currently tied for first in the standings. The Rebels had the top spot to themselves before losing at Monterey Tuesday night. They host Amarillo High, and the Rebels know how important a win would be to gaining a bye in the first round of the playoffs. It will also be a game of contrasting styles.
We normally are known for playing up tempo. We try to pressure and try to run, an up tempo type game. Amarillo High basically has been more of a half-court team, but they have the potential, and some of the athletes get the ball up and down the floor. It'll just be exciting. It's normally a packed house, and it'll just be an excellent basketball game.
We'll have highlights for you on that game tomorrow night. Despite some protests that it should happen on the weekend, Dallas will honor the Cowboys with a ticker tape parade next Tuesday. The city council said the event shouldn't be held on a school or work day, but their protest was overruled. 5 of the Cowboys can also be seen on a cereal box now. A commemorative Wheaties box available in Texas and Oklahoma displays the pictures of the new Super Bowl champs. General Manager Bill Polian was fired today by the Buffalo Bills. He had molded the team into a 3 Super Bowl participant. Polian had little to say to reporters, and owner Ralph Wilson had no comment. Polian did say his firing will not affect Coach Marv Levy and his staff. And finally, a couple of big boys step into the ring Saturday night to fight for the heavyweight championship in boxing. Today at the weigh-in for the Riddick-Bowe Michael Dokes fight in New York, the combined weight of the men almost broke the scale. The champ, Bowe, weighed in at 243 pounds for his first defense of the title he won from Evander Holyfield last November. Meanwhile, not to be outdone, Dokes tipped the scales at a comfortable 244 pounds. The combined weight of 487 pounds is just 2 under the all-time weight record for a championship fight. Obviously, you wouldn't want to get caught under even one of them.
Won't be much floating like butterflies in that ring.
A lot of plotting between the ropes, I'm afraid.
Thanks a lot, John.
We'll have a look at Ski Report next.
Tonight's Ski Report is brought to you by Farmers Insurance Group.
Some fantastic skiing this year. If you haven't been, you need to go.
That's right. Have some new snow, and this worked out really well this time because we're keeping the snow up in the mountains where it can be skied on, not down here in our roads where it has to be driven on. So this worked out pretty good. But if you're heading to the mountains, we'll check the reports here in New Mexico. Angel Fire, 6 inches. Their base now up to 61, 70 on the summit. They have 62 trails open. Red River also got a half a foot of new snow, 75-inch base. They have 51 runs open. Taos also got 6 inches. They have 70 inches with 86 on the summit, and all the runs are open. Santa Fe, not as much snow. They picked up 1. They still have a hefty 105-inch base. And Sandia Peak didn't get any snow. They have 50 inches. Elsewhere in New Mexico, Ski Apache, pretty hard pack now. They have 50 inches, but nothing new. Snow Canyon has basically some man-made ice there with 14 inches hard-packed. Sipapu, nothing new, 30 inches. And Pajarito at Los Alamos picked up 2 inches. They have 50. We'll look at Colorado in just a moment. Well, the heavier snow has kind of moved out of Colorado into New Mexico last night, but we still have some new stuff here and there. Aspen picked up 1 inch. Breckenridge got 3 with a 44-inch base. Cachara Valley got 1 inch. They needed more because they only have 25 inches of mainly hard-packed snow. Monarch got 1 inch. Winter Park 5. They have nice fluffy snow with 62 inches. Others in Colorado, Purgatory didn't get any snow, 60 inches there. Steamboat picked up 2. Remember yesterday they had 13 inches. They now have a 65-inch base. Vail and Wolf Creek each picked up 1 inch. And the Enchanted Forest near Red River picked up 6 inches. They now have a 54 average depth. And if you're heading to the slopes this weekend, looks like it should be better than the last one.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave.
And thank you for joining us for Nightcast. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Good night.
Experience KFDA News.